Hello, this is Sekou Radio, and today we have a great guest, and we're going to have a two-part to it. And the person is a legend. His name is Julio Moros. Julio Moros was the VP of Bollettieri Tennis Academy, and he participated in the building of the academy. And it's better if Julio introduces himself. Hello, Julio. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Sekou. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Julio Moros. I am originally from Venezuela, my country of birth. And back in 1972, I was a college student at Pan American University in Edinburgh, Texas. I had a roommate by the name of G1 Maharaj. He used to work for Bollettieri in those days. And he told me that Bollettieri was needing a job, needed a coaching job for a pro to go down in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and go down and help out with the activities at the Cerro March Beach Hotel. I went down there in 1972 and worked for Mr. Bollettieri. I never met him right away, but after 1 month, he told me, "Son, don't ask me at what time you start working. Don't ask me at what time you stop working. Don't ask me how much I'm going to pay you. Because if you ever ask me one of those three stupid questions, I will fire you." That was my interview. I said, "Yes, sir."
Don't ask me what time you start. Don't ask me what time you finish. Don't ask me how much.
Right. Yes, keep working, son. We will get along very well.
Oh, good. Okay, so this was in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yes, sir. Summer of 1972.
Okay. And what was the name of the hotel again in San Juan, Puerto Rico?
It used to be called the Cerro March Beach Hotel, which was right next to it to the Dorado Beach Hotel. That was in the town of Dorado, which is the north side of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and used to be owned by the Rockefeller family in those days. Nick was the pro there in those days, and he used to go down there in the summertime a little bit and then stay there for the winter times and help out with the tennis activities at both hotels. So I was lucky. I was down there and I was part of it. And then he told me that, "Son, over here we work from 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. We do that 7 days a week. Don't ask me to get a day off, because if you ask me for a day off, you will be fired at the same time. So all we do is help out with the activities of the tennis guests at both hotels. And if we do that, we're going to be very, very well doing it, what we're supposed to be doing." So I said, "Yes, sir, I will do exactly what you asked me to do."
Okay. Now, how many tennis courts were at this hotel for you?
The Dorado Beach Hotel had 8 courts at the time, and the Cerro March Hotel had 12 courts at the time. It was right in front of the beach. It's a beautiful piece of property down in San Juan, and it's like a dream come true to work in those places in those days.
Now, how long did you stay there in Puerto Rico?
We stayed there 4 years, from 1972 through 1978. Then things did not go well for Nick and management at the time. So we have to relinquish the duties at both hotels, and Nick and I flew down to Miami, and then we went to a friend of his to see what we can find around there in the Miami area. His friend suggested to go to the Colony Beach and Tennis Resort in Sarasota. So we went over there, and then we got there. The Dorado, the Colony Beach Hotel was owned by Dr. Murray Claver, a very famous orthodontist dentist from New York. So we met the doctor, and when we got there one early morning on a Friday, we saw the sunrise come up, and I told Nick, this is it. I told him that because Nick loved to be on the beach, and I said, Nick, this is the place. So sooner or later, we got around, we demonstrate our duties on the tennis course, and we were hired by the doctor, and we stayed there for 4 or 5 years until we started, getting some kids to come and train in the afternoon at the Colony Hotel, until someday, a few years later, we met a gentleman by the name of Mr. Louis Marks. He says, all you guys need some tennis courts and a place where the kids can stay, where they can eat, and perhaps maybe go to a nearby school, and that's all you need. And Nick said, well, Mr. Marks, we don't have nothing. We got no money. And he says, don't worry about it. Tell me how much something like that will cost to build a few rooms and a pool and dormitories. And we told him $1.2 million a couple of days later. And then he says, okay, I will have my secretary send you the money. The $0.12 million will arrive in 2 days, and you can build your place. And that was the start of the famous Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy.
Mm-hmm. So the place was a tomato field, the land in Bradenton.
Yes, that's where there's nothing but tomatoes all over the town. So we went out, cleared 10. We bought 10 acres of land, and we built some tennis courts and some 4 apartment buildings and a pool and the dormitories and the tennis courts, and here we are. And that's how Nick Bollettieri was born.
All right. So from, you remember what year was that?
Yes, that was in 1978.
1978. So from 1978, now tell us, 1978, every 5 years, what was your function? And the academy grew to become what it is today, IMG.
Well, our daily job was to, we start having some kids coming in, and we start developing some kids. And then little by little, we start having players. They will have a little more abilities than others. But overall, the job was to take care of students. They live there, all year round. And then after a while, when you work so hard, you get a little better name. And then finally, we got a boy by the name of Jimmy Arias. And then the boy was so talented, and Nick says, Julio, this is what we needed. We need a boy to come and put ourselves on the map. So after a few years, we developed Jimmy Arias, and he became number 5 in the world, and the rest is history. Jimmy Arias played in the 1983 U.S. Open. He got to the semifinals, and the rest is history. With his name and the name of the tennis academy, it was an explosion of kids that wanted to come. And then before we know it, every tennis player around the world wanted to come to the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy.
Okay, so give us a detail of the training. Why everyone wanted to come to Florida, to Bollettieri?
Well, Florida, for a reason, because the weather is so good all year round, and you come in and you are in the sun, you are in the wind. So obviously, in the beaches, so people know that Florida is well known for that. The reason the kids wanted to come to Volunteer Tennis Academy because you can train, and at those times, a lot of Nick's Jewish friends were very kind and very good to us. They donated some money because a lot of the kids could not afford, the prices. So a lot of friends of the academy donated the money so be able to house a good 60% of the kids for free. And obviously, when you bring a bunch of people around and you work them hard and they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, they go to school for 3 hours in the morning and then play tennis 6 hours the rest of the day, obviously someone will come along and develop the talent. And lucky we had Jimmy Arias, and then after that we came Andre Agassi, then we came Monica Seles, then we came Carlin Bassett. So we have some names in there that developed top tennis in the world, and that's how the academy went up in the world of tennis.
You mentioned that 60% were free. How you
Yes.
managed to? Yes. You mean?
Well, yeah, the kids they had a scholarship. They had some talent, and you have to. I do believe, and Mr. Bolicherri believe also that when you put this together and they compete day in and day out for 5 or 6 hours on the tennis court, somebody will develop the talent. Thanks to the donations that we have from a lot of people, from around the country, they knew Mr. Bolicherri very well. They knew our concept, and they were not hesitating and sending some money every time we needed some.
Okay. So when does the academy move from 60% scholarship to 40% or 30%?
Well, obviously there was a lot of kids. They carried interest in a lot of well-off family in those days. They had some kids, and they knew that the kids would not probably be a top professionals in the world. But they knew that the academy concept was to develop a well year-round athlete, meaning if the kid works hard enough, eventually she or he will develop it, and eventually the idea is that the concept grew into the idea is to develop the kids. They have the talent, yes, but also a lot of the kids are not so great, so talent, but they will develop the skill. They will go into college and will play for college in America. And as you know, well known that a lot of colleges in the United States give a scholarship to athletes. They cannot become probably well-known, top professionals, but they are willing to give scholarships to people that work hard and they have be able to continue working on the tennis. And some along the way, those kids will get an education through the tennis, and for the parents, that was like money in the bank. If you can work for 5 or 6 years and then develop your tennis, and then you go out and play for the school, apply for a scholarship, and the school knows you have a talent, that you are a good player to play for the school, they'll be willing to give you anywhere between 50% to 100% scholarship. And that was a concept that was developed for so many years, and that's how the academy became even well known because of the interest that we have in those kids.
Well, good point. What was the daily routine for you with the students?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question.
I said, what was the daily routine? What was the daily schedules for these
kids? My job primarily was to take care of the kids. The daily schedule of the kids was I go up into the rooms starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, and to start waking up the kids. Everybody get out of the bed, get going. We got to go to school first, and some kids will start a little bit later, some will start a little bit earlier. So those kids that start a little later, they'll have to go out and play tennis for an hour and a half. After they play tennis for an hour and a half, they go out and have some breakfast. and they get ready to school. They would bus and be driven to the school. The kids go to school anywhere between 3 to 5 hours in the morning, and then we'll pick them up around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They come and have lunch, and at 2 o'clock